This news update is brought to you by...
It's the most wonderful time to stay connected with Flow. Get great deals on prepaid and postpaid plans. Get double the talk, double the text, and double the data when you activate a prepaid or postpaid combo plan, sizes medium and up. All this plus $50,000 to be won from Flow this wonderful Christmas. Visit us in-store today.
'Cause it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's Thursday, January 5th, 2017, and time for your Barbados Today morning update. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a warning from the Central Bank of Barbados. Governor Dr. Delisle Worrell says the country may need to undergo more stringent fiscal measures to prevent the dollar from devaluation. In his January economic letter released on the bank's website yesterday, the governor said Barbados has repeatedly failed to achieve the balance between its foreign exchange outflows and inflows, which is necessary for a stable economy. Our Emmanuel Joseph has more.
Dr. Worrell is therefore recommending further restriction on spending in order to protect the country's foreign exchange reserves. He said the reserves are what protect Barbados against the devaluation of its currency. He repeated a previous caution that the road to a promising future would be a painful one. In an effort to strike a note of reassurance, however, he said the central bank remained in a position to provide US dollars at the current exchange rate of 2 Barbados dollars to the US dollar to meet all legitimate needs if no other source was sufficient. Dr. Worrell suggested that the country has had to draw from the central bank's reserves of foreign currency simply because of a failure to strike the right fiscal balance over the years. The government's chief monetary advisor also said the Fernandez Stewart administration was committed to a further reduction in the massive fiscal deficit in order to relieve pressure on the foreign exchange reserves. Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
Construction of Wyndham Grand Resort on the site of the historic Sam Lords Castle is now set to begin by the end of the first quarter of this year. Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Tourism Investment, Inc., Stuart Klein, revealed that everything was being put in place for work to begin in earnest on the $200 million 450-room property. Plans for the 58-acre property funded through the Government of China were approved back in 2008, with construction initially earmarked to begin by the middle of 2015 and completed in early 2018.
A very heavy excavation will start around March for foundations. So basically, we are not unhappy with where we are at, and we'll be obviously meeting with the residents and letting people know exactly what will happen for any noise or dust pollution, so that the appropriate controls will be in place as well. What we have to consider is that this is a very large project, and we've had to make sure we had all our design work done and so on, and therefore that would represent perhaps 8 weeks slippage from where we want to be. But I can assure you that come March, fairly heavy excavations will commence.
Don't expect the owner of the MC Buccaneer to take any responsibility for the raunchy behavior which reportedly took place on board his vessel during a recent private party. A 10-second video, which has been circulating on social media, shows 2 young women dancing on the boat, one naked and the other scantily dressed. Barbados Today has since learned that such behavior is not uncommon on the vessel when some promoters hold private parties on the high seas. However, Randall Phillips flatly dismissed any concern, saying while the behavior may be considered raunchy, it was done in a private setting and he was not responsible for something over which he had no control and which took place in his absence. He explained that his security normally acts to stop any lewd behavior, but on that occasion the action was so brief it was all over before they became aware of it. He is adamant that cruise organizers have certain responsibilities, including that of their guests. It's a problem that has become a major source of concern for motorists and pedestrians, and the Barbados Road Safety Association yesterday launched an initiative to alert unsuspecting road users to the dangers of potholes, by placing brightly colored warning signs ahead of them. Our Anmar Goodrich Boyce tells us the initiative is the latest effort by the organization to make the country's roads safer.
This is one of the advanced notification signs positioned by the Barbados Road Safety Association to alert motorists that there are potholes lying ahead. For the past couple of weeks, Barbadians have been taken to the popular social media networks to vent about their frustration about the increasing number of potholes on the island's roads, which could lead to accidents and vehicle damage. Barbados Today caught up with President of the Barbados Road Safety Association, Charmaine Roland-Boyne, who says the Pole Flag initiative is set to ensure that the problem is properly addressed.
We want something better. Do not give us inferior patching across the island. We don't want that. We want something that is more semi-permanent, if not permanent. And this, we are not going to be standing for this, only to look to make people look as if they're doing something. This is not what we want.
However, Minister of Transport and Works, Michael Lashley, recently told Barbados Today his government has been taking significant steps to address the problems. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, Barbados Today.
In sports, the South Zones competing in the National Sports Council Youth Development Under-17 football tournament were in action yesterday. Playing at Briar Hall, Christchurch East snuck past Christchurch West Central 1-0. In the other games, Christchurch South and Christchurch East Central played to a 1-1 draw, and defending champions St. George South won by default after Christchurch West failed to show up.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Regional news now. Leaders in the Cayman Islands call for a unified approach to arrest crime there. Rishma Rugunath of Cayman 27 says a spike in gang-related incidents is of great concern to Premier Alden McLaughlin and opposition leader Makiva Bush.
They may not always see eye to eye on many matters, but Premier Alden McLaughlin and opposition leader Makiva Bush both agree something must be done to curb crime in Cayman, and it's not up to the police alone to do it.
Government can do its part, and the RCIPS can seek to prevent an arrest, but a response is needed by society as a whole, including our churches and civil society, if we are to keep our young men and women safe from the gang culture.
It's a sentiment that crosses party lines.
It is time to move forward together as we look at the turmoil in the rest of the world. It must only strengthen our unified resolve to build a better Cayman that is inclusive and peaceful, and where we can all feel safe and live and move and have our being successfully.
In the latter part of 2016, police say they've recorded a spike in gang-related activity, including 2 murders.
And finally, President Barack Obama urges Democrats to fight for his health care bill as the incoming Trump team vows to make a repeal of the law a priority. We get more in this report from the CNN.
Republicans taking their first steps to dismantle Obamacare. But President Barack Obama is rallying his party to defend a centerpiece of his legacy. In meetings with House and Senate Republicans, Vice President-elect Mike Pence making clear that repealing the law will be Donald Trump's top priority as president.
But the first order of business is to repeal and replace Obamacare. And that was our message today, and it will be our message on Capitol Hill. And it needs to be done.
In the Senate, Republicans voting to pave the way for a repeal in a matter of weeks. But more questions than answers about what the GOP intends to replace it with. And that has rank-and-file Republicans increasingly worried. Speaking to Democrats on a rare trip to Capitol Hill, Sources said Obama warned that Republicans would pay a steep political price for trying to gut the law. And he told Democrats not to, quote, rescue the GOP by giving them votes on a replacement plan, worse than the Affordable Care Act. The president branding the new GOP plan Trump Care.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 99 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.